The calendars were important because as empires grew, it was very important to have the right taxation at the right time. It was important economically. It was also important religiously. The problem of calendars had not been solved by the time of Jesse. The problem of precision kept on coming. Why calendars were so important? The calendars were important because as empires grew, it was very important to have the right taxation at the right time. It was important economically. It was also important religiously, because if the king wanted to celebrate Diwali, the king should know when Diwali is going to be there. And all these festivals are associated with some event in the sky, something about the moon or something about the sun. So you have to be able to know beforehand when is Diwali coming. Like imagine you are an emperor and you said, oh, tomorrow is Diwali, we now celebrate, and everybody comes to the capital and it turns out it's not the right day. What a fool would you look. And this was actually an important problem worldwide. In fact, it was such an important problem that we had Buddhist monks from India who traveled to China and became established astronomers there. Because you needed people grounded in mathematics to be able to calculate these calendrical events. And calendar keeping was difficult. There were two problems with calendars. One is precise measurement of the stars. See, the sun and the moon are still easier, probably, to some extent. But calculation of the travel of the stars, which gives you all the days in between, that's more complicated. It requires precise calculation. There is another problem. The earth, you see, spins like a ball, like a top. But it doesn't spin very nicely. It actually wobbles a little bit on its axis. This wobbling is called precession of the earth. So what happens is, because of this wobbling, the stars change their positions every now and then a little bit. And this change of the star's position is very small. So for 1 year to another year, you will not be able to know it. But over a period of 50 years, you will be able to know it, and the days would be actually off. So if today was Diwali, your calculation might show it will be 2 days later, and that would be a fiasco. So that problem became prominent. Because of this reason, you had many scholars, the top-notch scholars of that time, working on this problem of calendars. We had Aryabhatta. By the way, his original writings are not available to us. The only way we know what he wrote is because others commented on it. His original work was lost. And if you look at the way they have commented, they are not all in praise of him, just as it would be in science. Do you think when Einstein made his first prediction, everybody came together and said, oh yeah, what a fantastic theory? It didn't happen that way. People disagreed. And that's how science works. And that's exactly how science worked even in the olden times in India. People were significantly in disagreement with him. One of them was Brahmagupta. He said, so Aryabhatta he introduced several things, including the place value system, 0 plus. He introduced trigonometry. He was the first person to introduce sines in the way we know it today. Sine theta, cos theta, if you remember that from your class. Then he also said something that was almost blasphemous at that time. He said that it is not the asterism. So by the way, he used a geocentric worldview. So for him, Earth was stationary, everything else is revolving. But he did realize that it was not the stars that were moving, it was the Earth spinning like a top. And he said that in a nice little poem where he says that just like when you are seated on a boat, trees appear to pass by, but in reality you are the one who are moving. It's the same thing for Earth. Now this, people did not like. In fact, Brahmagupta was extremely critical of him. There were others who were critical of him, so critical that none of his students used this model after him. Because they said, if the Earth is spinning, we should be flying off. By the way, that's a very difficult problem. It's not that simple a problem as you think. Today we are told that, oh, it's gravity which is holding on us to Earth, even though Earth is spinning. But this is a more sophisticated problem. You see, Earth is spinning, but the gravitational forces are much bigger. They're so much bigger that they totally overpower the centrifugal force due to spin. So these realizations, it take almost 1,000 years for us, right? So at that time, it is not against reason that people were not in agreement with him and people severely criticized him. There was an ecosystem. There was an ecosystem of scholars during the time of Aryabhata. And this is very, very important. He was not alone. There were many others. There was Varahamira who preceded him, Bhaskaracharya, there were multiple Bhaskaracharyas, Brahmagupta, lot of great mathematicians who kept on. Otherwise, you think a work done around some 500 AD would survive till now? Its original is not there. So the only way it is done is through these citations where people who are repeatedly commenting on the work. So this is a very important problem of ecosystem, because there is one more great event in India's history, and I hope you can see what is, if you recognize what is the architectural structure in the middle of this photograph. This is the sundial, the giant sundial at Jantar Mantar. You see, the problem of calendars had not been solved by the time of Jai Singh. The problem of precision kept on coming. Because of the problem of precision, the calendars every 100 years they started to drift away and they were no longer correct. So if they are no longer correct, somebody had to keep on updating them. Somebody had to keep on making new tables for this. Now, Jai Singh, he was later on given the title of Savai, but by not that too favorite Aurangzeb himself. So he asked himself, what do I do? One answer for him was, make it large. The larger you go, the better the resolution. Another thing is, don't use metal, don't use wood, use rock. So this is a masonry structure. From what I know, this is the largest masonry sun clock in the world. And in 1700s, he decides to make all these instruments to recalculate the calendars and redo all the calculations. And he creates this amazing set of instruments. Some of them are of old provenance, like something like the sun clock was already known for quite some time. He just made them bigger and made them accurate. How the sun clock works was known to many. But he did create some instruments which seem to be totally his own invention. Because if you look at some of the other ancient archaeological sites where there are astronomical observatories, this is by the way, the era of the naked eye astronomy. Right? So you are doing everything with your naked eye, everything is alignment based, you are trying to align two stars, two known stars, sun, moon, something to each other and then figure out all the right calculations. He did that and it tells you that the calendar problem was very, very important. Right? And by the way, there are a set of old archaeological sites where you can find old observatories, naked eye observatories, and this is the most sophisticated of them. You see, this was being built in 1720s. Okay, finished around 1730s or 40s. But by that time, a revolution had happened in Europe. People had given up on naked eye astronomy.